back to Sunrise Daily. Well, today we will continue talking about security, especially in the light of the explosions that occurred yesterday. Well, joined now by Mr. Mike Ejiofor, who is a former director of the SSS. Morning, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
Well, unfortunately, we have to keep looking at this matter. So, and then the thing about it is that, of course, with a view to seeing how all of this can be helped. But, you know, yes, they know. They always say that as well, that in spite of all the effort you put in, just one, you miss it. But are we recording successes in this fight against terrorism?
Yeah, I'll say right away that we're recording successes despite the explosions that we're having now. It could have been worse than this, but we should not be discouraged. Nigerians need to exercise patience, cooperate with our security agencies, and I'm also delighted that most prominent Nigerians, our elder statesmen, are coming up now to make statements, patriotic statements, condemning this attack and not seeing it as either religious or ethnic war, but looking at Boko Haram as an enemy of this country generally. We must have a common stand that is a common enemy to the whole country.
You know, what sometimes, I mean, you just have to ask, especially if people don't go around and look at those physical structures being put in place to ensure that this happens. Do you see us having a long-term plan to curb this terrorism?
Of course. You see, like I said on some occasions, we didn't expect that this Boko Haram will get to this extent. We were not prepared for it, and it will take time to prepare to tackle it. And that's why there seems to be some kind of slow pace in tackling the insurgency. Terrorism is alien to Nigeria. It's not part of our culture, it's not part of our system. So since it's an evolving trend, we also need to adopt some new tactics to fight it. So I think the government is putting some structures, especially the security infrastructure, to tackle this insurgency by re-equipping the military. And I think we're on the right course.
But you know, they've talked about several things. I mean, yesterday we were talking about the CCTV cameras, and then all of those allegations that keep making the rounds, and people wonder, because there are certain places where they think could have shown images or footage of those CCTV to deter certain people, saying, listen, we have our eyes on certain areas, and then instill that confidence in people. But we haven't seen that, or did we miss out on it?
Well, that's a very dangerous aspect of our security infrastructure, because I remember the federal government, through in Abuja and Lagos, for instance, took a loan of about $475 million to install CCTV cameras in Abuja and Lagos. And as I talk to you now, nobody is sure, and I'm telling you on point of authority that those cameras are not working, which is very, very terrible. These issues would have assisted us, especially the bombing that took place in, I think it threw up a lot of issues. The one that happened at Emab, that we couldn't have footages except from look into that issue, because this is a loan that has to be paid by federal government. We shouldn't just sit down and fold our hands and just sit our resources thrown away like that. It's a very big challenge, and I think for us to succeed in this fight against terrorism, we must need a technological assistance in terms of CCTV cameras to assist us in, of course, investigations.
Do you think we know the import of this whole issue concerning the way and manner we have handled contracts that have been awarded to people that should have, well, given us things like the CCTV cameras?
Well, my own little investigation, in such issues, I feel that the people who are supposed to use those equipment should be responsible for the purchase of the equipment, so that they know the effectiveness and they'll be held accountable and responsible for whatever flaws. But as it is now, in the issue of the CCTV camera, I think the police was not involved. The police, who are the ultimate users, and other agencies, were not involved in the purchase. I think it was the Minister of Police Affairs. So, in fact, it's not an issue we're discussing here, and I think the federal government should...
Sorry to cut you there. I still think it's something that we should also talk about, because when we talk about citizens' participation or assistance in helping in the fight against insurgency, and this matters like this come up, we must also be asking the question if truly we do care about stopping all of this menace, knowing full well that operatives have actually given their lives concerning this matter. It doesn't seem that we really want to go out and unearth those that have actually been given such jobs to do, to the extent that they haven't actually discharged them creditably well. It would seem that as if we are a nation, when a contract doesn't sail through, even if we have paid huge sums of money, we allow it to go just like that.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making, that it's not something I will start discussing, because I don't have the details. I don't have the full details.
What would you like to see then, now that it hasn't worked? What would you like to see, being someone who's been there before?
Yeah, that's the point I made earlier, that I'm calling on the federal government to institute a high-powered investigation to look into the processes, the award of contract, how the loan was secured, and how it was paid, whether the things are working or not, and anybody found culpable should be dealt with. I think that's the right way to go.
Because this is a very, very serious implication for the fight against terrorism.
Yeah, it is.
Because you can't keep spending such amounts of money, a loan at that, and then it doesn't function. I mean, in some of the crimes, there's a very stiff penalty for this kind of crime.
Yeah, it's only when there are laws guiding criminal offenses. So I think if the federal government sets up a committee and people are indicted, they should face the law.
You know, I think it would seem that they now have a pattern, and pattern is going to bus stations and places where we have, crowds. In a situation like this that we have seen more than once, twice, by now we should have been working. There was a time the SSS had to go around motor parks, and even the police did the same thing. Do you think, from expert opinion and expert view, that we have actually imbibed some of those measures in our bus stations, especially? The airports seem to be doing pretty well, but the bus stations, have we been able to imbibe those security measures?
Yeah, see, the problem is not just training people. I must commend the police and the State Security Service for the security awareness lecture and consciousness to parks and others. But again, what group of people are you talking to? What level of education or consciousness do they have, even though you go to talk to them? So the fact remains that we'll continue to sensitize ourselves. All the citizens must be involved. We should start from our homes before we start talking of institutions. Let us as individuals take care of our own environment.
How do we do that?
Well, we see there are basic physical measures, security measures we put in place, which seem not to be working, especially in like the malls, the parks, as you're talking about. We are supposed to, on our own, management of such malls and should go a step further, not waiting on government for everything, possibly install cameras and employ private security guards who will in turn collaborate with the various security agencies, the former security agencies. You see, my worry is that some of our guards, security guards, the private security guards, they don't know what they are looking for. So I once again want to call on the Nigeria Civil Defense and Security Corps to organize seminars for these private security guards. I tell you, for instance, some people will come, they ask you to open your boot in such malls or in some areas, open your boot. What are you looking for? They'll tell you they're looking for bombs. They've not seen an IED once. So how do you identify what you have not seen in the first place? And some of them go to the extent of carrying metal detectors, screening the car.
Looking for bombs.
Looking for bombs, and you are screening a metal, and it's a metal detector you're having. In fact, the most embarrassing situation is that, you see, in searches, you have this mirror, the one you roll. The essence of that is that if you cannot bend down, you just use it to roll down below the car to expose whatever you have. You look at some of them, their mirrors are broken. I had to come down one day and say, what are you looking for actually? He said he's looking for bomb. I say with a broken glass, some of them don't even clean their glasses. The mirror, they don't clean them. So it's just a routine of rolling down underneath of the car without actually knowing what. So I think it's important that we have awareness or special training, because security, generally because of the situation we find ourselves, has now become a franchise. Everybody's involved, everybody's a security expert without experience. Everybody's a security analyst. You come with it, you just go and read the paper, and the next moment you are a security expert. So we need to intensify our training for our security practitioners.